Have you ever wanted to start a podcast and just didn't know where to go to get your journey started? Well, look no further than Anchor Podcasting. Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast, and it gives you everything you need for free in one spot, which you can use right from your computer or a mobile device if you need to record on the go. Creation tools allow you to edit and record your podcast and make it sound the best possible way for your audience and listeners. And they'll also distribute your podcast for you, so you don't have to go through the hassle of talking to different platforms in order to get your podcast through to everybody you wish. This includes Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and many more. You can easily make money through Anchor Podcasting, and it doesn't require minimum listenership. So once you get started and set up, money can flow in from all directions. So if you're ready to get started, download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's ANCHOR.fm to get your ball rolling and start your podcast journey. All right, guys, we're back for the final part of the Double Trouble Breakdown, episode 8. This part will be much shorter. I know I said it was going to be a long podcast. I didn't expect it to be 3 parts, but there's a lot to cover with a guy like Calvin Kattar, and I don't want to miss anything that could be of importance if this guy does become a champion in the featherweight division, which I think he has a very, very good chance of doing. Maybe in the next year, maybe 2020, Calvin Kattar becomes a champ, but I don't know. We got Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway fighting at the end of the year, so we'll find out, I guess. Like I said, so the final fight I was actually in attendance for live. It was at UFC 238 on June 8th, 2019. He fought former featherweight championship challenger, Chicago native Ricardo the Bully Lamas. This was a big fight for a guy like Calvin Kattar, but just judging on how good he was, I knew that he was probably going to come out with the victory. It was going to be a tough fight, but I did not expect him to knock out Lamas in the first round. But ever since that knockout he suffered to Josh Emmett, it was such a bad knockout where he got hit with that left hook and knocked out. That was such a bad knockout for Ricardo Lamas. I didn't know. He came back after that fight, I'm pretty sure, and had a few wins. But he just never really looked the same, and I figured Calvin Kattar's boxing was going to be too much for him, and that's what happened. So right away in the beginning of this fight, we saw something a little different that we hadn't seen from other opponents, and it's the fact that Calvin Kattar was being faked on. So Lamas was moving in and out of range, left and right, in and out, faking, trying to gauge reactions out of Calvin Kattar, but Kattar was staying patient, covering up and looking for the openings and firing that jab. This just shows that you're not going to draw Kattar into a firefight. He's too calm, he's too poised, he's too ready, he's too dialed in to be drawn into a firefight, and he's just going to move and try to counter you. This is one thing I think is going to be big in terms of the fight tomorrow against Zabit Magomedsharipov. I think that him being so calculated and so patient is going to lead him to have a very good performance and a victory over Zabit tomorrow. But let's get back to the breakdown. So Kattar was just moving back at the beginning of the fight. He was letting Lamas try to close the distance, and he was just moving back, covering up, seeing what Lamas was going to try to do, and Lamas immediately opened up with leg kicks to the lead leg of Lamas to the lead leg of Kattar, because he knew this was a problem for him against a guy like Renato Moicano. That's what led to his loss against Moicano, was the leg kicks, the inside, the outside, the kicks to the body. And so he's like, I'm going to invest in it right away, and that's what he did. But he landed the first leg kick, but Kattar, braced for it. He put his weight down on his lead leg to make the leg a harder post to hit and, take the impact a little bit better, and could hurt the opponent's leg in the process. And then as Lamas kept throwing more and more leg kicks, Kattar, like he did in previous fights, would just move back with that rear leg and pull the lead leg back. So the kick would swing right past where the lead leg was supposed to be, and it would knock the opponent off balance. So he'd pull his leg back and move back. Whoop, whoop, get out of range. And this would take away the power in the kick and just make him miss completely. He's always wary of the distance and the leg kicking game of Ricardo Lamas. Ever since that fight with Renato Moicano, he's been wary about the leg kicks. He still gets hit with them, but he's more defensively minded against kicks to the leg. Kattar knows the distance well, and he can keep the fight at his range. By being able to move out of the way of those leg kicks from Lamas, you know that he knows the range that he can fight at and what he can use and where he can counter and where he can land shots on you. And you saw that very clearly in this fight. Kattar is just reaching with the open hands. He didn't close his hands at all, basically, for the entirety of this fight until he got the finish. Like I said, he likes to keep his hands open, and he'll fake and he'll feint and he'll reach out to try to touch your lead hand to occupy it so you can't set up your combos, and then he'll use the rear hand to touch your lead hand as well. This is just to occupy you and get your mind off what you're trying to do in the fight. Good management of range allows Calvin Kattar to pull the lead leg away from the leg kicks of Lamas. Like I said, Lamas tried to throw a lot of leg kicks and tried to throw a leg kick and then turn it into a single leg takedown. However, Kattar read it and pulled his hips back and moved away. Let's see what else. Like I said, distance management. Sorry, we had a little pause there. I had something I had to take care of. But, the distance management, like I said, this is what Kattar loves to do. This is what he's good at, and this is what makes him towards the top of the division at 145 pounds. Lamas tries to throw another leg kick, and Kattar braces for it on the lead leg and pops the jab in Lamas's face and knocks him back, knocks him off balance. It was partially because he was off balance throwing a kick, but it was also that stiff lancing jab stabbing Lamas in the face. Just pop, pop, pop. And again, he's pulling away from the leg kicks. Kattar lands the jab and throws a right cross to the body of Ricardo Lamas. This is important. What did we talk about earlier? He likes to work a shot to the body and then follow up with that same shot to the head later in the fight. He wants to get you occupied with the lower level attacks and then come up top to the head. So Kattar checked the leg kick of Lamas and then countered with that jab and sent him stumbling back. Kattar touches the lead hand of Lamas with the power hand. So he's leaning forward and he's touching. Like I said, he likes to use that rear hand to touch and dictate where your hands are at. He keeps the rear leg occupied. Keeps rear leg. I meant Ricardo Lamas. I'm sorry, guys. Amateur hour over here. He's keeping Ricardo Lamas occupied, as I said. Hands are always up. Even though they're not always closed, he's always wary of what you're throwing at him. Kattar throws a long hook to angle off to the side and throw that cross to the body again. He's setting it up. He's getting the range to land the 3-2 up to the head. And that's exactly what happened. He's faking and feinting, fake feint, jab up top, cross to the body. He's landing them at will. Now Lamas is like, oh my God, every time he throws a shot to my head, he's going to come with a shot to the body afterwards. This is pushing Lamas back with the fakes and the feints, of him trying to dictate the pace, and it's also pushing him back because it's always the same combo, and he's getting hit to the body a lot, taking the wind out of him. Kattar touches Lamas's lead hand with his power hand, which is the rear hand, and fires the 1-2 to the body again. So he's occupying you with the rear hand, pop, pop, 1-2. Then he moves forward again as Lamas tries to come into range, and he throws the jab, hook off the same side, cross to the body. You could see it, dude. He set this up. He made the investment, and he set it up as the fight went on. Now, finishing sequence, boys. Here we go. He fakes the lead jab. He fakes the lead hand, fakes the rear hand, fakes the lead hand to get Lamas to try to reach out because he knows that Lamas isn't covering when he throws these shots. He's reaching out at the hands of Kattar to try to pat him out of the way and parry him or push back to gauge the distance. So he throws the jab, Lamas parries it. He throws the cross, fakes it, Lamas parries it. He throws the jab again, Lamas brings his hands down and reaches out in front of him to push back and get out of the way. He comes around the guard of Ricardo Lamas since his hands are out in front of him and lands that hook to the head, which pushes him into the cross. Boom. Lands that cross. Fake, pop, pop. Fake, 3-2, boom, boom. Drops Ricardo Lamas like a sack of potatoes. He jumps on him, gets the finish in the first round via TKO over a former top contender in that division. Even though he wasn't a top contender at the time, he was one of the best guys at 145 pounds for a long time, and he finished him in the first round at UFC 238. Big win, and now he gets Zabit Magomedsharipov tomorrow night at UFC Fight Night 163 on ESPN Plus in Moscow, Russia at the CSKA Arena. Number 5 Zabit versus number 11 Calvin, the Boston finisher Kattar. And if you haven't heard my predictions, there's a video up on YouTube on my predictions for UFC Fight Night 163. Obviously, search up Touch 'Em Up. I believe it was episode 47, and you can find it on YouTube, or you could find my podcasts on all major platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor Podcasts, Overcast, and every other major platform you can find podcasts at. If you like my podcast and you want to get more people to listen to it and help me grow my audience, get this out to your friends, boyfriends, girlfriends, brothers, sisters, nieces, nephews, uncles, aunts, moms, dads. Send it to everybody you got, your coworkers. If you know fans of MMA, send it out to them. If you have friends who are interested in MMA, send it to them as well. Everybody can get on board with the Touch 'Em Up podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. If you would like to donate, you're more than welcome to, but I'm not asking. You listening and helping me grow my brand is more than enough. So again, tomorrow, if you're listening to the podcast, it probably already happened. I'm pretty sure the fight's already over by the time you're listening to this. But Zabit Magomedsharipov versus Calvin Kattar going down. This was my Calvin Kattar breakdown. I really enjoyed doing these. If you'd like to give suggestions for who I should do next on the Double Trouble Breakdown, send me an email, reach out on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, anything you got, and send me your suggestions because I'd be more than happy to hear them. And yeah, if you know Calvin Kattar, send this to him. I'd love for him to hear it. I know he's busy getting ready for his fight in Moscow, but I'd love for him to hear my analysis of his game and hope to hear what he thinks about it. But yeah, this has been the Double Trouble Breakdown, episode 8 on Calvin, the Boston finisher Kattar. I'm Double M, and I'm out. Have a good night, everybody.